Oh, wait for some people to get on here. YouTube is new for going live. I don't usually go live on YouTube. Normally it would be on TikTok, but tonight, for whatever reason, TikTok will not let us go live. So we're here, and I hope you guys can hear me because I'm trying a new audio setup, which we should be able to have audio on. We're just gonna wait and see. The only place to go live and chat with people seems to be my TikTok at the moment, and I'm not vibing. Um, excuse me. Yeah, so a lot has happened the last couple days. Uh, Man, this week has been crazy. For me personally, I've been not able to get on TikTok as much as I wanted to. Uh, I've been out purchasing a car and had to do a bunch of stuff because a deer decided to jump out of the wilderness and total my other one. So I've been running around trying to do that. um, but yeah, TikTok decided to literally go dark today, and lo and behold, it's back. That is the power of all of us together. It's actually really insane that we were able to do that and get everybody back. I need water. What's up, Connor? What's going on, Gavin? What's happening? Um, yeah, dude, it's been crazy. The fact that we're back though is absolutely super cool. By the way, did you guys get the opportunity to see the latest UAP? You said got you. Greer's also dark, really disappointed. Stephen Greer has been. I guess I haven't seen anything posted by him. Um, but yeah, when it comes down to that egg thing, that blew my mind away. That happened obviously yesterday, right before everything went black in the UAP world and in TikTok. But that was pretty interesting to say the least. The video literally looks like an egg swinging and hanging from a rope, and they're claiming that it's roughly 25 feet, give or take. Um, and the pilot stated that he was delivering it, and to this day we don't know where it was or where it came from and where it was going. So, man, I personally, I don't know what to think about it. Someone says, Gavin says, yeah. He has something released. Oh, yeah, okay. That's right. You're right. Greer did say he had something to be released. I just wonder if he wasn't stalking specifically on the egg. Maybe not, though. I'm not 100% sure. You're right. They did say there was a lot of people who came up and said, and basically said there was going to be something so large that was going to shake up the entire UFO industry. And we're here. That video didn't shake us up, I wouldn't think. I think the biggest thing to shake us up in the last couple of days was TikTok, to be honest with you. Um, but in the UAP world, I don't know, that video, like, it was important. But to non-believers, it's not going to change their mind. Absolutely not. I think those of us who really, really have a deep understanding, I think we can grasp the fact that that very well could have been real. But boy, oh boy, that could have so easily been manipulated. Um, and that's what scares me about that. Like, it very well could have been manipulated, and had it been, I don't know. I just like the whole point of this process is to get all of us on board so that way we can help kind of push this entire thing forward. And currently, man, it's going slow. It's going so slow when it comes to this. So, what do you guys think? Just get your thoughts on this entire UAP thing. Did you guys see that video? Let me know in the comment section. Uh, Gavin says the egg isn't enough. Yeah, I don't know, man. I want to say that it is, but it's not. We need a lot of people. You know what? Stephen Greer, let's go back on that. Stephen Greer actually did say that something large was coming out that was going to need to be shared with celebrities. Do you remember that? Is that the what you're talking about? Stephen Greer said something so big was going to come out that we need to just share it download it from a website, and share it. It was going to be passed on to celebrities and influencers and spread out. Yeah, that's a thing. What is up? How's everybody doing? Oh, thank you. Yeah, so we got a bunch of people jumping in. I don't normally go live on YouTube. Normally I go to live on TikTok. I was planning on going live on TikTok, but we can't. Apparently, I don't know why. I don't know if it's disabled or what, but yeah. But yeah, super happy to have you guys here for sure. Um, but yeah, UAP stuff. What are you guys thinking about all of the information that's coming out on that topic? I've been highly disappointed. I think the last couple weeks, um, it's been very slow. CEC on the coast. Bless your heart. um, I don't know. I think you have the wrong person though, my friend. I do not. I don't really make music. I just I talk UFOs, UAPs, videos. That's what I do. But that being said, going live on TikTok, yeah, yeah. Going live on TikTok is normally where I'd normally pop up, but not today. Today, decided to jump on here. Um, but as far as like information, I guess we are still waiting on Stephen Greer. We're waiting on the whistleblower. The new whistleblower. I think, man, I really think he's gonna get ridiculed pretty freaking hard, to be completely honest with you. But I think this whole TikTok thing really freaked everything out. What is my stance on the election? Great question. Love where your head's at. I'm not. I actually don't talk politics. Um, that's for here nor there, I guess. But yeah, so far as the UAP information and everything that's been coming out is just not hitting the same. Like everybody said that we were going to be just shooken up. Now that being said, President Trump is going to be coming up and being inaugurated tomorrow, and we shall see what happens from that point, because he did state that he was going to bring forth some UAP information. He was going to open up some files and documents and let us all know. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't know where that's all going to go. So, yeah. YouTube is not like YouTube. Let's see. So for YouTube myself, I believe I want to definitely change things up a little bit on this platform and be a little bit separate from TikTok. Now, personally, I have been working on a couple videos for probably about, oh man, probably about 2 years or so. And that's been very heavy when it comes to that. I've been pushing that. I think I have about 1.5 TB of data. And so part of my research that I do for the UFOs is actually based on that. So I get to share some of like the clues and things that I find that hopefully you guys will enjoy and get to go to in the future. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how all that shakes up. UFOs around the world. Oh, I love UFOs around the world. And Daniel Knighty. Yeah. Nightly, really disappointed too with the last night's show. I like Greer, but we need something that in front of Congress. Greer's, yeah. No, both of those two guys are absolutely amazing. I love both of them. But I guess I didn't watch last night's show when it came to like, did Daniel Knightley and around UFOs around the world do a show? Is that what we're talking about, or are we talking specifically about the entire News Nation show? Because I did watch the News Nation show, and I personally, yeah, I was disappointed in it. I wanted it to hit harder. It had been brought up by so many people. It was not just Daniel Knightley. It wasn't just me. I know I talked about it, but Ross Coulthart is a culprit in this, and I believe he has till the beginning of next month, I think, for this big, huge shakeup that he was talking about. And you know who else? James Fox, as a matter of fact, actually brought that up into conversation as well. So it's I'm really confused as to what's getting ready to pop. If that was it, they slacking hard. They run after Cole Hart. Okay, so yeah, I actually didn't get the chance to see that because as soon as that happened, I lost TikTok. Basically, right after I made my last post, TikTok went down, so I didn't get a chance to see those two um, chit chatting about it. But I would love to because I feel like it would have been interesting. I think that they probably were disappointed with the video as well. I'm guessing. Is that right, Gavin? I feel like UFOs around the world would have been pretty disappointed with the footage, even though like it's probably I mean it's good, but it's just not like wasn't what I was expecting to be completely honest with you. I really wanted it to hit harder than it did. I need fog. This looks so chill without fog, dude. Yeah, no cap. That's better. TikTok is back online. Yes. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, I was unable to go live on TikTok for some strange reason. We are not able to do that. So we are live here because I was sitting here and I was like, man, I got like an hour or two before I go to bed. So I'm going to chat with you guys on that platform because I was so excited we were back. But now, lame sauce. Disappointed. Agree. It's not enough. DOD like. Yeah, I don't know what's been. Oh, it did. Yeah, I'm just really not sure what's been happening with the UFO information that's come out lately. It's been really, really slow, and I was waiting for something bigger to pop for sure. And I had done, like I said, I've done a lot of research, and I was thinking that we were getting to be close to this event. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's gonna be. It must be the end of 2025. What was his name? Corbell, Jeremy Corbell actually just did an interesting video. How many of you seen Jeremy Corbell's video? That's one that we need to talk about. That's probably the biggest thing that's happened in the UFO phenomenon. Let's dive into that. Jeremy Corbell uh, came out in a podcast slash interview the other day where he was sitting there being interviewed by somebody, and as he was talking, all of a sudden he basically said that it was like one of the biggest lies was about to happen, and they were going to essentially tell us that he said this cautiously to the cameraman who was behind the person or behind the camera there. He said, like, if I tell you this, like, you have to be careful if you're going to show this in your show. Promise me to think about that. And they said, yeah, sure, we'll think about it. And then he was like, all right, well, UFOs are real, aliens are real. But then he goes on to say something like, they're going to lie to us and tell us that there is a mothership in our solar system heading towards Earth. And when he also said that once that information comes out, it could be twisted or manipulated to change. So the fact that the cameraman left that information in that video tells me that that information is either disinformation or it was a ploy to change the information, because that's something that I feel like would have just been brought up in the editing room. Like, I edit, it's what I do all the time. It's what I do. And like, I feel like had that happened to me personally live while talking to Jeremy, how would that have actually played out? I mean, I would have thought about it. I would have been super excited to get that out there in hopes that my video blows up. But at the same time, how much does Jeremy actually know? And if he actually is sitting there with those people, because boy, did he ever, like, he came off very, what's the right word for that? Confident, very, like, trying to be very direct, but a little bit too much pump behind it. Like, he was like, listen to me, okay? There is a lie about to come. And it's like, bro, just take a second. So, yeah, I don't know. But the lie that was being, that Jeremy Corbell had brought up to us was the fact that there's going to be a mothership in our solar system and it's heading towards Earth. Now, this is interesting for a few reasons. Number one, he's not the only one to bring that up. Like, that was also said by the conspiracy groups, Pablo and Down to Earth with Kristen Harloff and Vedit and Simon and a few others. And so those people a while ago were saying that, I'm trying to think on the name of it, SETI actually had information stating that there was an object heading towards Earth, but that course corrected. Remember that? That blew up. And then all of a sudden, a lot of haters came out and said, nope, there's no proof of that. That came from just a group of conspiracy theorists on YouTube. There's nothing to see here. Well, now Jeremy is bringing that back up. And that is interesting because now we're starting to teeter-totter on this story. And that's also not the only time I've heard that too. So, what is it? Dr. Werner von Braun and Stephen Greer also mentioned the same story. So, Dr. Werner von Braun, on his deathbed, stated that this was going to happen and it's all a lie. Stephen Greer has mentioned that same situation multiple times as well. So that is very interesting because that is a buttload of sources telling us the same information. At which point you have to start to think, how many coincidences take place in a story before the story is truth? That is something I've really been trying to determine over the past 2 years of my research. How many coincidences will it take before something is considered truth? So it's very interesting to see. But Stephen Greer, I don't know, man. There's something happening, but I just like they're keeping it so under wraps. Gavin, what do you think? Arctic Gaming, what's up? You heard that too? Gavin, yeah, false. Not the same as the ship approaching Earth. Yeah, I don't, dude. I really don't know. I don't know if there is a there. I mean, what is that object that was supposedly heading towards Earth? Saw a clip of Ross Coulthart talking to Donald Trump Jr. When did you see that, Arctic? Or article? Nah, dude, I'm horrible at reading. That's why I make videos for life. That's what I do. Gaming 101, I'm going to call it, or 101, yeah, we'll call you that for short. It was on TikTok yesterday. Nice, dude, for sure. I was unfortunate to have TikTok yesterday. Mine shut down probably around like 9 o'clock here, and I had been busy doing a bunch of stuff throughout the day. But that being said, though, yeah, the whole Ross Coulthart thing, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen because if this, what came out yesterday, what broke yesterday, the egg thing was as much information as we're going to be getting. Because what happened to Congress? Congress has been pretty freaking quiet on it. I actually have not seen the people who were so gung ho. They went dark, and that is weird to me. So people like what is her name? God dang it, the dark-haired girl and the other dude with the glasses. I'm horrible at names tonight too. I need alcohol is what I need. Congressmen and women's though, they literally have just quit talking about it. And Tim Burchett, he said he kicked the hornet's nest a while ago. And he was like, yeah, man, I kicked the hornet's nest. I've been told by multiple people not to come out and, talk about this. And I don't know what to do anymore. But he kept pushing forward. And then Congresswoman Luna, there it is, Congresswoman Luna also was attempting to be gung-ho about it. And then all of a sudden, everything just completely shut down. And then the other lady took over, Nancy Mace. And she's a bulldog. But why did it flip so hard? Where did she come from, and why did she just come running out of the shadows? I think that's very interesting. Huh, that's interesting too. Yeah, maybe. It's very possible. Um, Grush is gone too, though. Man. So all the people that really got started with talking on this and being that face of the UFO community, which was now what, 2 years ago, they're like non-existent in the UFO community. We have a bunch of new faces, and then we have some of us who've just been telling the story since it started. So it's very interesting to see how many people have come and gone through that. I bet you anything though, at the end of the day, the ones that we need to be watching for, Lou Elizondo. That's yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, that's okay, dude. No worries. I suck at reading too. No, you're good, dude. I make videos. That's why we do that. But Lou Elizondo, yes, Lou Elizondo. The people we need to watch for. It's going to be Lou Elizondo. It's going to be man, the dude who did not. Now I'm gonna. God dang it! Now I'm thinking on his name. He was supposed to go to the Congress hearing with Lou Elizondo on the last one, and then ended up going on vacation with his wife. That was sus to me. I'm blanking on his name. I can see his face though. But there's a group of people that you guys need to be paying attention to, and I think that it should be within the next year or two that the story should break. But the best part is, according to Stephen Greer, all of this information is going to come out, and they're all going to demask themselves. So that will be helpful, because some people are so far out of this circle that I've been researching, you wouldn't even know about it. Like they love coffee and they're from Canada. That's a hint for you. It's a pretty big hint. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are getting ready to come out, I think, if the story ever comes out. But I think it was Stephen Greer too, who said that there's been a story that's been bubbling up since the 70s or early 50s that was supposed to break up and come out to us. And it's interesting that this old script seems to be surfacing in the UFO community. Reminds me of the Simpsons episode where the president ripped off the face mask. Yeah, I know. I did do a video on that on my TikTok channel at one point in time, and it was right around the time when the presidents were supposed to be elected, I think. And then, oh, wouldn't that be something? Okay, this is conspiracy talk. This won't happen. But like, speaking of that, Trump did say he had a surprise for us, did he not? Wouldn't that be something if he walks up tomorrow and it's just like, yeah, just so you know, you elected an alien. Be like, damn, bro. Damn. I knew something was fishy. Yes, The Simpsons have predicted way too many things. And you know what's interesting? Uh, the fact that remote viewing happens to be getting brought up more and more and more in the UFO research that I've been doing. And remote viewing is something that started way back when in Egypt, actually. The Egyptians actually were able to found a way to remote view. Now, this had been quite silent for quite some time, up until the basically during the time of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, when all of a sudden we had um, United States people in the government finding out that our information was getting leaked to Russia. And we were like, how are they getting this information? They must have a mole in here. Well, come to find out, they didn't. And we found out that they were doing this thing called remote viewing. And remote viewing is something that we said, nah, dude, that can't possibly be real. Well, Dr. Hal Puthoff actually was one of the ones that pioneered this and was brought in by the government. And when they got brought in, they started like working on it. Come to find out, it was very real, and it got termed the name was then turned into remote viewing, or coined remote viewing during the early, I think it was 70s. I think it was the 70s that happened. True story. Go look it up. Very wild that we were all of a sudden able to remote view. Now, that coming back to The Simpsons, remote viewing essentially is where a person can sit inside of a room and concentrate. I don't know if they use drugs. I don't know if they just like dream or what exactly, because I've heard a lot of stories about it. But they essentially can add dots and connect the dots and tell people where they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're doing it before it's happened. So that's how the Russian government was stealing our information, was somehow by psyche, and they were able to do that. And there's a possibility that the creator of The Simpsons somehow has his button on remote viewing. That honestly wouldn't surprise me. If remote viewing is 100% legit, The Simpsons have predicted one too many correct pieces of information. So if that is the truth, there might be something to that. Yeah. Now we're back off of conspiracy talk. Well, kind of, because I'm a conspiracy theorist, but that's the thing. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, go look up who created remote viewing. It'll blow your mind to find out that the ancient Egyptians actually started, they loved dreaming. But the interesting thing about the dreaming portion of the Egyptians was that their symbol was an open eye, and that meant to come awake. So I don't know if like they meant like wake up to like another dimension kind of thing, or if it was like wake up and be aware of your surroundings. It's really interesting. You know what's here? This goes deeper. You know what's also interesting is that the Egyptians liked dreams, and dreams also play a huge role in the UFO phenomenon. Because did you know that Area 51 is also called Dreamland? Now you do. It's pretty freaking weird that there's so many connections to the dream world when it comes to this kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's it's interesting, but remote viewing is something that is, I hope we get to learn more about. I know we've briefed on it, like I've talked about it before, but I think that like Ross Coulthart has definitely touched base on it. Now, like, do you remember the scene in the movie where those kids were like bending the spoons? And there was a actual person that's based off of, and he was in like, I believe he was in Ripley's Believe It or Not, or something like that. But he's like super famous, and he worked with Hal Puthoff, and he could literally bend spoons. That's his whole entire gig. That's what he does. And I'm blanking on his name, of course, but yeah, this guy literally goes around and bends spoons, and so Ross Coulthart worked with him too. So it's interesting to see all of this stuff. But Ross is somebody who I think, yeah, you're Yuri Geller. Thank you. That's exactly correct. Um, it's interesting to see where this is all going though, because Ross has been, so the research that I'm doing outside of this, uh, the TikTok stuff, has been leading me to clues for a while that we're now starting to touch base on. So, like, Egypt was a thing that I found probably about 2 years ago. And I was like, man, what does Egypt have to do with something? And so it has to do with like the Sphinx. The Sphinx, like, is something that Ross Coulthart touched base on, but it's only like he just mentioned a riddle. Like, he kept saying, like, oh, you know, the Egyptians have a riddle in plain sight. And I didn't fully understand that, but the Sphinx is a riddle too. So, long story short, I've been working on some stuff, trying to connect the dots. I think if I'm correct on my side project, as it's lining up with the actual events that are taking place with Ross Coulthart, the next thing that we're going to be learning about is a woman who is our mystery. So, whether that be a goddess or a god or what would it be? It would be falling under the category of like goddess, god, maybe by the Greek, or all-encompassing Buddhas, I guess. Some sort of, oh, Terra 5, perhaps. So again, I know this is way off topic, and you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but I've been doing a lot of research on a side project. So those are things that might possibly start to bubble up in the future. Um, yeah, so we'll see. I wonder what was written on the top of the pyramids that dude flew over and recorded. Yeah, I don't know what was written on the top of the pyramids. I'd love to do. I would love to know. I know it's very risky to go up there, and if you do, uh, you can get thrown in prison, and or depending on who you talk to, they'll just make you delete your memory card. Not advising you to do this, but I have heard stories that people have done that, and that'd be super cool. The thing about Ross Coulthart going to Egypt, though, that I found super interesting was the fact that he said that the pyramids were much older than what we expected, and he said that they were built before the Egyptians, and the Egyptians just used the pyramids um, as like we would use caves and like things like that. So the pyramids are extremely interesting too, and I'm really interested to learn a little bit more about them because even like, so we've heard many different stories about what the pyramids could be. Like it's a tomb that we built for our pharaohs, so that way they could go to the heavens. I've heard rumors that they are electrical in some sort. Tom DeLong has said, even in Alaska, that there's an underground pyramid that is still switched on. I don't know what that means. Um, uh, yeah, so 101 gamer, that's what I'm calling you. Uh, he says, yeah, or a crystal generator. Yeah, there's that too. So the thing that Ross Coulthart brought up, and this is also a connection piece that I have, the thing that Ross Coulthart brought up was the fact that the Egyptians may have had more like technology than what we knew. And the technology could have been anti-gravity. Do you guys remember him talking about that? Well, one of the things that I had found prior was that maybe we're leading up to learning about anti-gravity and 0 point energy. And maybe to sum this up is they have to trickle this information out to us. Like maybe the government knows that we have this access to this technology and they know that it's time to bring this forward because it's going to change our lives for the better. But how do you do that? How do you just bring out anti-gravity? You can't just announce it like you do Apple, right? We have new computers, and this year this is the new computer, and it's got a faster processor. No, you can't do that because you'd be like, yeah, so we can now make bricks levitate, and you are gonna see flying bricks at job sites as we float them by like freaking magic from Harry Potter. Like they tried to do things like that back in the day, and people got stoned to death. And that was probably for them making magical soup or something that tastes really good. And the women would be like, look, I got new soup. And the guys back then were like, she's a witch. And then they would stone that person. So we have to be very careful with the technology that we bring forward. Um, like, let's rewind back realistically. Let's rewind back 100 years and say that we had cell phones and Bluetooth technology, which today, not a problem, right? But 100 years ago, you tell somebody that we're going to have cell phones and Bluetooths, and they're going to look at you like you're absolutely bonkers. How do you have a cell phone in your hand that's not connected to anything, that now connects to TV and you can like change it? That's bonkers technology, right? So let's fast forward to the future, and again, the possibility of a brick floating through the thing is actually real if we have learned how to have anti-gravity. Stephen Greer brought it up in his newest trailer for one of his programs. The program, he talked a little bit about anti-gravity. Then there was a TED Talk that I watched a few years ago now, and I saved it because I was like, man, that was a weird TED Talk. But it was this artist who came out, and she was talking about how we've seen the future, and the future is going to be just beautiful. And there's like, how do you feel as they had a brick floating through the audience. Now, the brick was on cranes and it was essentially a piece of cardboard for the art. But the meaning behind that message was what needed to be like installed and was trying to be getting across. And I think it's a trickle effect. I think that there is a technology that is so freaking powerful that's coming forward that we can't just jump out and be like, here you go. Like, this technology is going to change the world. We have a box that's literally going to power your house and all of your neighbors and a city forever without using natural resources. No wind, no water, no coal. So, like, we might have that technology that could bring this planet to a very clean place. And then things are coming out very slowly to change us. And it let us accept it. And that could be what Stephen or Werner von Braun was talking about. That could be what Stephen Greer has been talking about. That could be what a lot of people are speaking about as we move forward. Something's going to change. I know that. It's going to be world changing technology. And I know we have it. I've heard people talk about Antarctica, for instance. Um, People have said that we have DOMs in the ice, embedded in the ice, the sensors that can literally have faster than light communication and um, somehow can read UAP. It is what he was talking about. It can read speeds of objects that are zipping through the sky, and they're not talking about planes and that. So I don't know. I do know that there's something coming, and I just don't know how big it's going to be. Like, I have a feeling that it's going to be a game changer. If it's 0 point energy and when it comes down to anti-gravity, like, that is going to literally reshape our world when it comes to technology. Like, 0 point energy, but it's so dangerous to bring that forward too, right? Think about bringing 0 point energy. So 0 point energy, essentially, you take a cup of it, just one little cup the size of a coffee cup, and fill it full of 0 point energy, and that would have enough to boil the oceans. That would have enough power to boil the oceans. That's how powerful 0 point energy is. And when we have something that powerful, ooh, are we playing with fire? Because what runs the world? Dollars, right? And who's in control of those dollars? The elite, right? So people who are talking oil and gas companies and all of that stuff, those people have their hands in the cookie jar. And when you start to play with their cookie jar, your hand's going to get slapped because money, right? So it's interesting. And I think that could be why a lot of people are saying that they're at risk for bringing up this information. They're at risk for toying with this stuff. You have to keep it secret because otherwise you get shot, you die, or bad things happen. As a matter of fact, uh, David Grush told us that they messed with his family. So it's interesting. It definitely is. Look how dangerous we are as humans with nuclear weapons. Exactly. That's exactly it. Nuclear weapons are extremely dangerous, and yeah, they're extremely dangerous. Now, I've heard theories going back to the nuclear weapon stuff um, that are taking place, and I'm very interested to see how that plays out. So, in 1947 or 40, I think it was like 1950s, whenever we created the nuclear bomb, right? When we tested it, there was a man who went down to Antarctica by the name of Colonel E. Byrd, and he was traveling across Antarctica on an adventure of a set, like, strictly just mapping it out. And his story, for those of you guys who are wondering, was written inside of his diary. And when he wrote this in his diary, what was found was absolutely breathtaking. His diary stated, and this man, by the way, is a colonel. Like, this dude's got badges on badges, and he knows what he's doing, and he's highly respected in our government. Like this man had covered the world when it came to writing this stuff out. So he went down there, and he said in his journal that he was traveling across Antarctica when all of a sudden he noticed the temperature started to rise in his vehicle, and he noticed that he's seen greenery in places in Antarctica where there shouldn't have been any greenery. Um, so then he said off the right of his aircraft, he noticed another aircraft flying next to him that had a Nazi symbol on it, or what he referred to as a swastika or Nazi symbol. He then said that the object communicated with his aircraft and told him that he was in good hands, and they ended up landing in this hole in the ice, where he was directed to speak with a thing, or I don't remember, it was a thing called the Master. And this was written in his diary by him. And the master told him that he needed to relay some information back to the United States government. And that was the fact that we, the people, have actually started playing with technology far beyond what we knew was capable. Now, mind you, this was just after we had played with the nuclear bomb going around Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And so Colonel E. Byrd agreed to the information, and he flew back to the United States of America, where then none of us ever heard about that story. And when we did hear about that story, as it came up later on, it was written off as complete conspiracy hoopla out of his journal. But as he got back, he relayed that information, and nothing happened, right? Wrong. As a matter of fact, what happened? We were on the verge of World War II. Well, World War II. We were just about to go hot with nuclear war. But suddenly, the entire world decided, you're right, this is too dangerous of a technology. We're putting a halt on this. As a matter of fact, we're going to write a treaty and shut down the fact that no one's allowed to use nuclear war. And from that point forward, it was used for testing purposes, which is interesting. So we can test these. And where did they test them? Over the water, in our airspace, and in space. Now, the air in our airspace one, like in places like Nevada, that's not a big deal. But the water and in space, that is freaking interesting if you ask me, because why are we popping bombs off in space, and big ones? Now, there's a couple theories that go along with that, but we'll get back on track. Essentially, the United States government actually wrote up information stating that we were not going to do this and we were going to put down a treaty. This is why World War II never went hot and the Cold War then got started. But now we're at the end of that treaty. And that treaty, I believe, ends in 2026 or 2027. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which is right around the time frame, ladies and gentlemen, as what they are claiming we are going to have a serious issue. So that is just a theory, but Colonel E. Byrd's theory seems to line up with some serious timelines and connections, because for those of you who have paid attention to some of my videos in the past, you would also know that I've created videos about the story about what was written in that treaty, because apparently when Dr. E. Byrd came back to tell our government about this, we ended up making a treaty with the alien beings, or the masters, if you will. And one of the treaties happened to be, or is told at the moment, that apparently we signed a treaty that they could take us, and they would take us for experiments and to understand us, and they could have, I think it was 7 or 15 of us to experiment on. Meanwhile, we get exchanged technology. Now, if you go pay attention to a technology boom, ladies and gentlemen, in the early 1960s and 70s, whoo, we got things like AI. We got things like the internet. We got cell phones. We got cables that were running insane speeds. We had a technological explosion within that same time period. So it is very interesting to say the least. Now, just to line up a few more facts, if you guys went out and watched Steven Spielberg's movie, um, the third, what is it called? Not the third kind. Dang it, I'm blanking on the name of it. The one with the UFO at the end of it, and blanking on the name. Help me out with names, guys. it's Steven Spielberg, the fifth something. Anyways, there's a scene where the UFO is sitting there, and all of a sudden they talk to it by using music. And they play music, and there's a bunch of people down, and all of a sudden the craft starts blinking, and it plays music. And then all of a sudden the door opens up, and people come walking out. And when they come walking out, no, it's not the fifth kind. It's something similar. But people come walking out of the craft, and the people who walk out of the craft of the UFO, guess what they're wearing? World War II outfits, which is interesting because that plays back with the other conspiracy that I just talked about, having Colonel E. Byrd taking place during that specific time period. So it's very interesting. Not only that, but they come back, and as they're walking back, they're taking note of who's coming here, and it was like 15 people, and they're checking them off in the book list of all of the people who have been gone for a long period of time. So it's very interesting. And also, I believe there was a man in there who worked with the CIA, who, this is where Steven Spielberg actually got his information from, was a man from the CIA. So he was pulling out information from this dude who worked with the CIA, and he was writing these things down. Now, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, yes, thank you. So he was pulling out this information from this dude from the CIA, and one of the biggest things that differed from Steven Spielberg's idea, Steven Spielberg wanted it to be aliens and from a different galaxy kind of thing, but the CIA guy insisted that it was actually going to be time travelers. So Steven and him kind of went battle to battle and was just like, no, I want this to be entertaining to my audience. And the other guy was like, dude, this is how it is. So it's a time travel based situation. And so Steven knocked on him for that. And then out came his project. So there's truth and then there's not truth to it. Again, all bubbling out from a conspiracy. But what's interesting also is the fact that the next movies that Steven Spielberg made were essentially time travel based. All of us have seen the movie with the DeLorean. Yeah, Back to the Future. That's quite interesting, isn't it? So Stephen kind of built off of this information that he had been given to by the CIA, and he took it and ran with it. And there's a lot of clues. If you guys pay attention to Steven Spielberg's work, he hides so freaking much information in some of his movies. It's unbelievable because when you take the time to stop and find little pieces of information and then go back and connect it back to the dots of where he got it, it'll blow your mind away. Anyways, long story short, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That's my conspiracy. I have not seen that TV show. No. Where would I find that? Is that on Netflix? I'm lazy and don't on Netflix. Yeah, or Hulu. Yeah, no, I don't have either. I have Prime, where I watch a lot of Pokemon. I love me some Pokemon. But did I see the comment about free energy? No, but I'll go back and take a look. Look how dangerous we are as humans with nuclear war. Something is coming. I actually found TikTok guys. Oh, I actually found a guy on TikTok who's been talking about these companies getting ready to announce these free energy devices. Huh. See? That very well could be. He says that found a company on TikTok, essentially that is getting ready to drop some free energy devices. Boy, that is risky. Um, Yeah, I really don't know, man. There's been so much going on because companies like Lockheed Martin too, they released a couple videos the other day, trailers of new aircraft that they've been working on. Now, Lockheed Martin, for a long time, people have thought that they've been in cahoots with the UFO phenomenon and possibly have retrieved aircraft. Um, and Lockheed Martin made a trailer stating that they had been working on these crafts that are running in this sky by themselves, and they work in groups and they're autonomous, and they have the skin. They referred to them in this trailer as the skin of the aircraft, having sensors that can read and change direction as they feel fit, and not only change direction but also change shape. So like as they were sitting there talking about this, I'm like, damn, like bro, that sounds more like a UFO than I've ever heard in my entire life. Like you're telling me these objects are flying around in our skies autonomously, um, changing shape by themselves, and they have skin of an aircraft that has sensors. I'm like, bro, like that don't get much more UFO than me. And maybe that's what that egg was. Maybe the egg changed shape because a UFO because a UFO is often shaped like an egg, bro. Oh shit. If you look at the shape of a UFO, it's usually a flat disc. Oh man. Oh, oh. I just it'd be a flat disc. But if it wanted to change shape, how hard would it be for it to go and then turn into a saucer shape? So freaking easy. That was inspirational. Like it just that just oh yep. There might be something to that egg story. Yes, I definitely will check him out when I get a chance for sure. I'll check out that video. My parents actually have Netflix, so I'll pull it off. But that being said, you guys, I think I am going to call it a night. We wrapped up about an hour of me mumbling on um, an egg and an omelet, bro. You have no idea. That sounds legit right now, man. But I think I'm going to call it a night. You guys have been here for about an hour. Thank you so much for listening to me be crazy on YouTube. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You're all the best. I hope I kept you entertained at least for a little while. I appreciate you. And I'm so happy that TikTok is back. I will continue to post on TikTok and on here. So stay tuned for content. I'm again working on a monstrous project. And I have t-shirts that are coming out soon, just so you guys know. I worked on those t-shirts for quite a while, probably about a month. It's my own personal design. I laid out each and every individual piece painstakingly. I am not very much a creator, however. Sometimes art sparks me and I will dive down deep into something. And I'm super proud of these designs that I worked on. So eventually those will be coming out. I got to set up the website essentially for those. But yeah, super excited. Super excited. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Love all of you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you guys on the other side.